Hi guys, in what should raise some eyebrows at OfCom, the broadcast watchdog, Tory MP Lee Anderson was interviewing Tory MP and Home Secretary Suella Braverman on the former's GB News show. Now, out of interest, how long do you think it will be before Suella Braverman has her own GB News show? Anyway, apart from that misdemeanour, it looks like both were attempting to keep their noses clean. But when asked about what Labour would do about the immigration issue, Braverman had to resort to lies. Have a listen.
This week, Labour's Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said Suella Braverman had given up on fixing what they called the asylum chaos. I put this to the Home Secretary and got a robust response.
The Labour Party is clueless on this issue. They would scrap our Rwanda plan.
Yes, because it's not working. You haven't sent anyone to Rwanda. Now, you tried, but the courts rejected that. You made an appeal, and we're waiting for the result of that appeal. But even if you are successful, we're talking about maybe 200 or 300 people per year being sent to Rwanda. 200 or 300. Now, I don't know how many people have actually claimed asylum from Rwanda. Yes, that's something that the Tories and Suella Braverman are happy to ignore, that the Home Office has granted asylum to people from Rwanda. On the one hand, they're saying it's a safe country, we can send people there. But on the other hand, they're actually granting asylum to people from that country, meaning it's not a safe country. But Labour would be right to scrap the Rwanda scheme because it's an expensive failure.
It would fundamentally open our borders. They want to renegotiate with the EU returns agreement. The EU's even said that's a stupid or deluded idea.
No, an official, a source in the EU has said that. But we don't know who this person is. Now, the EU have said, well, the source has said that, yeah, we need to sort out our own situation before we're willing to negotiate anything with the UK. They haven't rubbished the idea. They said now is not the time. But also, they can't agree to something with Keir Starmer because Keir Starmer's not Prime Minister yet. Okay.
And they are effectively a party for open borders.
Okay, I've never understood this point that this rhetoric, open borders. Who is supportive of open borders? What party has come out and said, yes, we want open borders? Because it's not the Labour Party. I've never heard the Labour Party say, we are for open borders. Even when Jeremy Corbyn was in charge, he never said, we want to have open borders. So where's this rhetoric coming from? You hear it all the time from Tory party supporters and members of the Conservative Party and members of government that the Labour Party is for open borders. But in reality, do you know who is supportive of open borders? The Conservatives. They are not carrying out checks on goods coming in from the EU. But for some reason, Brexiteers, be them in the Conservative Party or in other pro-Brexit parties, like Reform UK, or we'll never hear Ben Habib complaining about open borders when it comes to goods coming in. And all sorts of goods can come in.
Limit migration, and I'm afraid rejoining the EU. So,
oh my goodness. Okay, here we are. This is the main lie. The Labour Party are supportive of rejoining the EU, or Keir Starmer's in support of rejoining the EU. Well, he has said no. Now, whether you believe Keir Starmer or not is another thing, but you can't claim that he supports rejoining the EU when he has said the opposite. He said, no, rejoining the EU is not on the table. Rejoining the single market is not on the table. Rejoining the customs union is not on the table. So whether you believe it or not is another thing, but he has said on a number of occasions, we're not supportive of, we're not getting back into the EU. Even one Labour MP said, we will not let the people have a decision. We will not let Parliament allow us back into the EU, something like that.
On any basis, the numbers heading to our country are too high. We cannot take this level of migration. There's too much pressure on our housing and accommodation, on our health services, on our school places, and we need to be able to control this better.
Oh, goodness. So, you're blaming the immigrants for your own failures. We haven't built enough houses over the last number of years, over the last 13 years. That's the fault of immigrants. Look, we're talking about a very small number of people coming in. And she's blaming them for the lack of housing. She's blaming them for the pressure on the NHS. Okay, if there are pressures on the NHS, then why aren't you resolving those pressures? You are the only people who can do it. The immigrants can't resolve it. The public can't resolve it. The opposition parties can't resolve it. You have to resolve it. You know, this, you see it from governments all around the world. It's like, oh, you know, we're failing, but it's not our fault. It's somebody else's fault. It's the immigrants' fault, or it's the EU's fault, or it's some other country's fault. It's not our fault, even though we're the only ones who can fix it. We won't fix it, but we'll blame somebody else. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.